Welcome to my video on the basics of AFK farms. This will help you design your own AFK farms if you just follow some of these principles. Normally, at this point in the video, I would show you what parts you need to build with pedestals and signs, as you've seen in many of my other videos. However, AFK farms are very special in that they can be built many different ways, and the only consistency is the screwdriver tool, potentially the scale tool, and blocks. That's the only real consistency with building AFK farms. So the first principle is the conveyor bug. Now you may have seen before in people's videos them using a conveyor bug. One such conveyor bug looks quite a lot like this. So if I close chat, I can unanchor and then push the jet, and you'll see, even though it's not actually moving, it pushes me along. And we can even customize the speed, like how fast or slow it goes by changing the jet. Then, when we anchor it continues going. Now, I don't need to bore you with the explanation, but basically, parts in Roblox have a velocity. When you stand on them, if it is moving, then you get that velocity and move as well. However, because this part is anchored, it thinks it's moving, but it's not. So it moves you along, even though the block itself isn't moving, and so it acts like a conveyor. You may have seen people begin this bug with jets, but it doesn't have to be just with jets. You can use absolutely anything, including your player walking, which is one of the more interesting methods, which I will set up now. All you need is a seat, a cake, or a Chillthrill 709 was here code firework. The code is on screen to get this. That if you don't click it, it will attach to your character. If you have that or a cake, you then place a block on top, delete the seat, unanchor, place a driver's chair or a pilot's chair. This is simply because your camera realigns forwards or in the direction that it's facing, meaning that you get a consistent direction. Walk forwards and anchor. Now, this part thinks it's moving forwards, but it can't, but it still pushes me forwards because we've just applied the conveyor bug to it. So let's make it a bit longer and then you can see it a lot better. This mechanic is really important to understand if you want to make AFK farms, as it's how you get between the stages from the starting area and so on and so forth. Beginning section. The beginning section of your AFK farm is one that picks your character up and puts them into the rest of your farm. My entrance looks like this because it pushes the player forwards, they hit the wall, they go across the diagonal and into the portal. However, they come in many different forms, such as a spinny stick on a wheel, a big platform that shoots you up top and pushes you forwards, and so on. To start off with, I'm going to be showing you the cheapest method of spawn thing. Now, I did find this off of a video by JessyTC, but it's really simple and effective. Right, so you want a big long line of blocks. You want to unanchor. A reminder, the way Roblox works is whenever you spawn in above spawn point, it finds the closest space that upwards that it can spawn you in. This is because otherwise you could spawn inside of walls and bug out. We can make use of this by making planks like this one, where we take it, we've got to select no collide whilst we walk it over. Take it above spawn points, like these ones. Then, walk forwards and anchor. Now, whenever we spawn on these 4 slots, we will, once we turn back on collision, just start being pushed along by this block. You can then repeatedly do this with many blocks until you hit a portal. The next method is the standard spinny block method, where you take a pole the length of the spawn length, and you just spin it around with some portals on the end. Now there's two variations. One has 3 portals and one has a portal that spins even more. And I'll show you the version with the portal that spins quite a lot, because I think you'll be able to figure out the 3 portal method. I haven't actually built one of these properly before, so I'm going to need to figure out how long the pole needs to be. So to figure that out, we can build a pole, place a lever, unanchor the pole, make our wheel very slow, and also we want the pole to have no collision so it doesn't hit the trees. It's very slow at speed 5. Never mind, I set the speed to talk. So this pole actually is going quite fast, so let me set down. But it looks like it can cover every single spawn point, which is not quite the intended thing yet. Now the reason this isn't intended is because we want a portal on the end that will in fact reach all of them. And the way we do this, quite simple. We add another wheel on the end, a very short pole, just about this long probably, or even shorter, and then a portal attached to the end. Although this is pretty high, so instead of attaching it like that, like I see most people do, yeah, I'm going to attach it like that. And we want it no collide. All of these to be no collide. The speed probably to be lower, like 1. There we go. And then when we hit the lever and turn anchor off, actually that wheel needs to be very fast, in fact. It should be able to cover all of the spawning slots. Yeah, a bit like that. I think that will cover most of the spots, and if it doesn't, you can tweak around the arm length. Now, for the final spawn design, it's quite simple in concept, but you do need a jet which costs $4,000, which is probably something that you don't have. Although, instead of a jet, you can build a car with some wheels, and then drive that forwards, and then anchor the parts, and then have a working conveyor belt. But the jet on a block on a spring is just the most reliable method. So you want, for this, 12 pistons set to 10.5 each. Yes, every single one of these is 10.5. Never mind, one of them isn't. 10.5 on 11 pistons, and then 5.5 on one of the pistons. Then you want a big platform that 150 by 150. At the end, you want a portal, then 2 rotated blocks. You can do this by placing blocks, rotating by like 15 degrees probably, like that, and then you can stretch it out or match rotation and then place onto the block. To set this one up, we basically push it back and then make a conveyor bug. So we push it back, make a conveyor bug with something like a car or walking, or this method which is most convenient, the jet, where it's unanchored. We push it forwards and then anchor it. Now sometimes, like this occurrence, it doesn't move you. In this case, I think it's because sometimes the jet's cut out. All you want to do is unanchor and re-anchor again whilst it's moving, and then it should fix itself. Then you should be able to delete the jet and the spring, and this part should still have the pushing properties. Then, here's the great thing about conveyor bug: if you push it into unanchored parts and then anchor them, like so, you don't even have to anchor them, but it's just better if you do, then it will retain the conveyor belt. So, in this case, the game tries to spawn me on top of this platform because it's the nearest clear space, Then the conveyor bug pushes me towards the end. I don't know what happened with some of these parts. With my entrance, I've had to add some extra parts here just to push the player around the trees, because occasionally you used to get stuck on the trees. For the next part of this tutorial, we're going to be talking about the bit that you put in the middle of the stage. Now, I like to call these the interstage, or INTS for short, on my save slot, because they only have a limited save name. Now, the three types to show you, one of which is really simple and dirt cheap, and anyone will be able to do it if you have portals and car wheels or a boat motor. And the other one is my own design, where you fly a thing into a stage and anchor it. Then the last one is a design, I think it's by Jesse TC, where you build a pole with a bunch of the stages on it, flop it down, put a conveyor bug on it, and then you go between all the stages and get lots of gold. We'll talk about the ending portal in the last section, but this current section, we're going to be placing the end portal, and this is for if you are dirt poor and you have no money. So, say you are dirt poor and have 0 money, what can you do to make an AFK farm? You want to make the simplest entrance that I showed you, with the attaching a block to yourself and creating the conveyor bug. Then you want a platform a bit like this one. There's a pole upwards and a portal on it. And then just remember, here's great advice, portals link by colour. So now this portal will only link to another portal with this colour. To help me remember, I generally start with this blue, and I like to call it entrance blue because it's the top right blue in this hexagon, so I use it for all of my entrances. Then I go through other colours like this green, this yellow, this red, the very edge red, bottom right brown is the one I normally use for exiting at the end chest. Okay, so I have a cold, so if I cut a bunch of this video out, or my voice sounds creaky, that's because I'm coughing. You just want a boat motor and a chair. This is literally how simple this design is. The only downside is you do need screwdriver for all of these designs, and it costs
2,500
gold, which can be quite expensive if you're a new player, but hopefully you can make some friends on servers who can help you farm up gold, right? So, this is really simple. What we're going to do is we're going to park it just before that wall there, because parts loaded past these rocks do not get deleted when you load other things in. And also, we're parking it just in front of the wall, so you can drop out here and get 10 gold, and then go through the wall and get even more gold. However, that only works if you're part of Chillthrill's group, Chills Studios, which the link for is in the description. So, I think we've reached a good place to stop, so we're going to push forwards, and then anchor, and then remove all these blocks. I might have moved it a bit too far backwards, but it should be fine for the AFK farm. Then, you want to push in the entrance of your choice. If you're going for the cheapo entrance, follow the advice earlier. If you're going for the spinny entrance, follow the advice earlier. If you're going for the platform entrance, follow the advice earlier, and any other entrance you can make as long as it gets you into a portal with that same colour that you painted the one over there. In my case, it's that top right blue. So, you want to start up your stage entrance. Okay, so let's say you've started up your entrance, like I have just done. You want to reset your character, then from now on you're going to be farming some simple and quick gold. This is not the best method of farming gold, however it is really reliable and it's really cheap, especially if you use the very first entrance that I showed you. It is the cheapest method of AFK farm. And also you can see why I put it here is because you get 2 stage bonuses. They did make a change. This is a common misconception that I see. Common misconception. You do not have to go through the black walls to get the gold anymore. It used to be the case where you had to go through the black walls to get gold, but you don't anymore. It's spending a certain amount of time within a stage gets you the gold. Right, and as you can see, as I've been talking, we have been going through the portals and getting lots of money. This is really good and effective way to get gold in this game. Okay, so say you've got lots of gold now, because you've left that running for a while. What else could you build that's more reliable? In my case, I built this, which is a bunch of joined things, so that they're easy to set up. But if I delete one of these joinings, then fly it over to the first stage, delete that portal because I no longer need it for this demonstration. Right, so we're now in this stage here. What we can then do is we can rebuild that gold thing, or fly in lots more of that stage. Remember to repaint the portal every single time, then you have an exit. And what this does is it means that you now have lots of things that go in between the stages, then you get a lot more gold. So I'm going to set up 2 of them and then another end piece. Time-lapse editing me, make sure you time-lapse the segment, otherwise it could be really boring. Now, just as a reminder, PSA, do not hit launch at any point. You do not need to hit launch to get gold, and I've seen many new people hit launch and break my builds and AFK files because they do not realise that they don't need to launch. That is the PSO over. We're going to fly a portal to the exit stage. You could fly one to the end, but we're not going to show you that right now, since it needs a bit of special manoeuvring and stuff. So for now, we're going to place a portal. Now, because I know the ordering I like to do this thing in, we're going to have a lime green portal, which is the 3rd portal that I placed. We're going to place our pilot seat, unanchor. We're going to rebind that jet to whatever button we want. If you're on mobile, then you probably only need 1 jet. But yeah, you see, green portal is the last portal we had. I don't know why it's tilted. I've completely broken it. Can I fix it? Yes, right. So if that happens, it should be a really simple fix, right? So the next stage ahead is the Space Invaders stage. And I don't like this stage because, as a reminder, stages with projectiles can and will hit you whilst you're moving. So I'm going to avoid that stage and place my portal in this stage. Anchored stuff generally takes a lot longer to destroy for some reason. I don't know why. Right, so then we anchor on, collision off, then we delete the jets and the pilot jet. Oh, we can leave the pilot jet. Then we get money. Once you set up the starter stage, you will notice that because we go to more stages, you'll get more gold. If this video ends up being a jumble mess, it's because it was recorded in a jumble mess and then slapped together in editing. So to build my tube design, we're gonna literally have a platform, drag it out. I think you need a little bit less wide, and then that should be long enough. You place a portal like that because it's harder to hit, and then a portal at the end, and then this one needs to be your entry colour, this one needs to be your next colour along, and then we have blocks surrounding it. I'm not going to build all of it because it takes a little while. So you have blocks surrounding it, and then like this. You probably want a lot more armor. Then you also have blocks on the front, on the back, and on the roof. Then you have a pilot seat and jet turbines. Now, here's something you could do. You could make a car or a boat with this and then anchor it off. But the issue is it's harder to get between the stages. Right, that is how to build the tube design. So, another method of setting them up is AFK farm. I've labelled this setup into stages version 2. This is a design by Jesse TC. The link to the video will be in the description, but I'm going to give you a basic overview of what it is, how to set it up, and also how to duplicate things, because this required duplication, hence why I'm at -10 portals. For the AFK farm, that is Jesse's design, and for other bits, like if you want to clone a bunch of interstages of my design, which boxes that you fly, you might want to clone. So here is the cloning tutorial for the AFK farms. Right. So there are multiple methods to cloning. However, the one that was used for the Jesse AFK farm was basically you had your portals on your pillars, right, and then you blocked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have a I've set my rotation really small, so you want it at 90. So you have a servo like this, a truss on top, chair like this, and then you attach yourself to the chair. You want the exact same setup cloned upwards. I'm just going to use the trout to speed up this segment. So then yeah, you have it cloned upwards, and I'm going to just drag that a little bit down. And then with the chair in the same place and without the cake. I was trying to delete the cake, but I deleted the chair. Right. So then you want to take this, save it. I'm just going to save it to tests. This is a recommendation, just to have a throwaway slot that you can just put random things on. Then unanchor, you jump, and then you try to move away from the truss, but you can't. Now the reason we go on magenta or yellow is simply because you can get past the first stage and then parts don't delete. Right here, then you load in your save, your parts don't delete, you can head back. The simple controls are just space to jump away, and then you can climb up and down the truss. Alright. Also, I recommend if you're attaching to another piece, you collision off. However, it will stop working unless you keep the truss collision on. Now, I would advise either shift lock or first person for this. Right. Okay, and then and now all in place, anchored on, collision on, and then you save it again. That is how you clone. So firstly, we have a brick pole that is 19,052 brick blocks, no, studs long. Then, after that, you portal segment, which I have coloured entrance blue and then one of the greens, because you go green all across the top row and then the next row, but because I typically use entrance blue, I started with that. Then you have these poles of 750 studs in length. To set it up, I made two chairs, top chair and a bottom chair. The way you set it up, place a cake, you jump, select all of these, anchored off, collision off. Right, remember, once you're at this point, you want to turn on collision. And then, yeah, delete everything that's touching it. Set up the very first, or not the first, but one of the first conveyor belts that I showed you in this video, which would be new chair, sit, cake, block, move chair, tool, chair, jump, forwards and anchor whilst you're moving, delete cake, and then we move this block into the bricks. Right, now what you need to be careful of is everything collision on, and to get the bug working, anchored off, Z anchored off, then anchored on. That should transfer over the conveyor belt, you can see here. Right, then what we can do is we can load in our entrance segment. Exit segments. Here's the great part of the video. You've probably seen one of the segments, but to recap, you literally just build a frame, like this one. Bit like this, build upwards, then you place chair, boat motor, and portal. This is the most basic and cheapest to design, and you actually want to build it a little bit off the ground first so that you can anchor it. Now the next design, which we will place a portal on the end chest with, this one you need at least one pack of jets. I mean, because if I say jetpack, then you'll think it's the stuff you attach to your back and fly with. So, like this, add a portal, add a chair, and then rebind it to your controls. Like, in my case, Q and E. Then you want to paint it your exit colour, which for me is typically the bottom right brown. Then you start flying towards the end. The reason we want to float above all stages currently is because certain projectile stages only work if you're inside them. However, you want to be warned that certain stages, like this pufferfish one, have enemies that can go outside of the regular bounds of the stage. Doesn't always happen, but it can happen, and if you're not prepared for it, it will catch you off guard. Especially as the current blocks we're using destroy in one hit, like the jets and the portal. So you want to be extremely careful of the stages like Pufferfish and the orchestra stage, which I always call music stage, that have things that fly way outside of the regular stage bounds. We've had one jet run out. Now the reason we didn't do this inside the stages, as well as the projectile stages, is also the fact that you slow down by half when you're inside the stages. Right, now we're at the end chest. We're going to speed our speed right the way down to 5. Yeah, right. Now, this may feel really slow, but just remember that we do actually have to be extremely precise with this. Because too low down, portal deletes. Not close enough, you don't get into the end chest. Right. So we've got to take it nicely and slowly. Okay. close enough to the actual chest, but I'm going to get a little bit closer. Just as a guideline, that edge is your limit for how far down you can go before it begins to delete. I've activated both jets just in case they run out of fuel. Then, yep, we're pretty much directly on top of the chest. We then anchor. I don't know if this will work, but if it doesn't, you can take a few attempts. Oh yeah, I was setting the farm up quite a few times, so there's a lot of mess on this map. So make sure if you do actually build design like this, clear it out. Right, you can see here, we actually got it perfect on top of the chest. However, if you want a more repeatable method, I will show you it now. So, say you have an AFK farm for quite a while. Say you build up a large amount of money. Okay, so what you then want to do is build one of these. This might look really strange, but I promise you, it's actually quite easy to understand. All it is I'm just bringing up the block count with the trowel, which is really useful for this kind of thing. 921. I'm using a block somewhere. Ah, there. Right. There. And there. Right. At least like 920 pistons, all stacked end to end. Yeah, 920 pistons stacked end to end. And then about 28 pistons pushing down. Now, what this does is it allows us to also, I decorated this build on the inside, just because this was meant to be an outpost, but I converted it into something that can move the portal. Right, so we want to push it forwards, but this is really laggy. So what you actually want to do is you want to select it, then hit anchored. This is really great advice with pistons. If you have lots of them, if you have lots of pistons activating at one time, you want to select them all, anchor, wait 10 to 15 seconds, then you hit unanchor, and the game will think all your pistons extended instantaneously. Watch this magic. Boom. Right above the end chest. We can then anchor the portal. As in my case, I've got butter that detaches it. Then we can retract all the pistons. You could, however, just like delete the pistons and stuff. But yeah, that is how you precisely align a portal onto the chest consistently. I'm also surprised at how close my original flight was to the chest as well. But yeah, this is pretty much the lowest down you can build. I just wish to remind you that the clear all function only clears things inside of your build plot and really close to it. Only going up to there, right where those rocks are. Right. So in that case, if you want to remove everything, best way, anchored off, collision completely off. Right, like that. You will feel a bit lag, but then everything drops into the void. Eventually. When's it gonna do it? Okay, it's all gone. All gone, and then you can't select any more parts. Right. Thank you for watching this video on the basics of AFK farms and how to start building certain AFK farms. Right, just to recap, we've gone through conveyor bug, entrances, interstages, and exits. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video to help it do better in the algorithm. Subscribe to my channel. Join my Discord to chat with me and other people. And also, recently, I opened channel memberships and also a product store where you can buy things. Channel members get exclusive channels in my Discord, as well as live streams, which have all been sent to members only currently, the VODs. And there's some other perks as well that you should check out. But anyways, like and subscribe. I will see you Not actually that soon, because I've got exams coming up, and so I need to revise for those, and so videos are going to go on a little bit of a back burner for a while. Goodbye.